There is a Zulu proverb that says, Umuntu, Namuntu, Nabantu. And that basically means that a person is a person because of other people. This is a part of a greater philosophy called Ubuntu. That's Ubuntu, which means simply, I am because we are. So this African philosophy, Ubuntu, is all about our common humanity, our oneness, our interconnectedness with each other. But what does it mean to say, I am because we are? It sounds a little bit tricky in the mind, right? And to me, it's really a call for a more connected society and an awareness that we need each other to survive, and that we experience the deepest aspects of being human through other people, don't we? Some people say that Ubuntu is another name for compassion. And along that line, Nelson Mandela has spoken of Ubuntu, and he is also a great example, his life is, of Ubuntu. And I'll explain why. So here is a man who gave 27 years of his life in prison, most of his life before that, and all of his life after that dedicated to end the suffering of those who were suffering because of apartheid. He believed that we have a shared responsibility and a shared humanity to end the suffering of our family, our human family. In his later years, I watched a video of Nelson Mandela as he spoke about Ubuntu. And he described the spirit of Ubuntu in this way. He said, in the old days, this is in the South African villages, a traveler would stop through a village on their way to their destination, and they would stop and stay a while, and they wouldn't have to ask for food and water. The people of the village would take the traveler in, they would feed the traveler, house the traveler until that traveler was ready to move on. So the expectation, well, no, there wasn't an expectation, there wasn't an obligation, there was a way of being that was about sharing. And there was no sense of obligation because there was this built-in kindness and compassion and trust. And they had to recognize that that person is not just some stranger. They knew that they may never see that traveler again, but they embraced that stranger as if they were family. Because in their philosophy of Ubuntu, they were family. I am because you are. You are because I am. I am because we are a family, okay? And in the Ubuntu way of life, those who actually treat others with respect and treat each other with kindness are the most prestigious in society. They're the most revered and the highest. Isn't that amazing to have those be the most valued things? Not who's the smartest, not who has the most money, but the people who give the most respect to their fellow human beings. That's a sign of prestige in Ubuntu. There's another story about Ubuntu. I actually saw this as a YouTube video this week. There was a Western anthropologist who visited an African village, and he had all the members of the village surround this huge tree in the middle of the village and stand about 100 meters from the tree. And in the middle, underneath the tree in the shade, he put a huge basket of fruit, which was not exactly common in those parts. And he said, all right, when I count to 3, I want everybody to try to make it to the basket first, and whoever gets there first will get to keep the fruit for themselves. And so what happened? When he counted to three, they all held hands and they ran together and they laughed and they sat underneath the tree and they shared the fruit. And he was interviewing them and asking, why did you do this? And one of the most noteworthy things that someone said was, how can one of us be happy when the rest of us are sad? That is Ubuntu. But I think about Western society, and I have this picture in my head of people, we're all racing proverbially for that basket on our own, knowing that if we don't get it first, it's not going to be there for us, knowing that it's not going to be shared with us. And it's interesting the number of ways that happens in Western society and maybe beyond. So how do we change that mindset? How do we change and become more like the people of that village? That's not a small task, because these ways are embedded into our systems. So somehow it's going to take new systems. It's going to take trust. It's going to take new behaviors that are so unlike what we're doing today. I think that if we are global citizens with one humanity, I wonder, why are there so many examples of us headed in the opposite direction of Ubuntu? For instance, I read a couple of months ago, there was a study that in Santa Clara County, we have the most littered streets of any county in the state. Did you know that? Does that surprise you? It kind of surprised me, because I'm thinking we are probably the county with the largest economy in the state. We're certainly among the wealthiest and most educated counties in the state. So how can we have this mindset where people throw things out the window, basically saying, let someone else deal with that, right? You see it. You see it in the Safeway parking lots. You see it in the Whole Foods parking lots. You see masks on the ground. You see Starbucks on the ground. That's the opposite of Ubuntu. And I don't have to mention the bigger problems in the world that are hallmarks of us leaning away from community, that are hallmarks of a decaying community. So I propose today that somehow, especially we as a spiritual community, need to be proponents of Ubuntu. We need to be evangelists of Ubuntu, of this greater shared community, of this sense of oneness, kindness, and compassion for others. But how do we do this? I think first we must remember that we do have Ubuntu nature and that we do really truly care about each other. When all is said and done, let's suppose, I was thinking about this, if all of us were told that today we had one day to live, all of us in the country, would we fight with each other? I say no. I think we would call those, we would talk to everyone we love and tell them how much we love each other. So Ubuntu is innate in us, and I don't know what brings out the other. And sometimes it takes something with intensity to wake us up to what's really important. I was thinking, I watched this movie called World Trade Center, realizing that no, it wasn't 10 years ago, it was 20 years ago on September 1st that 9/11 happened. And I remembered two things about that day. One thing was that strangers went back into the rubble to save others, to save people that they didn't know. And in that movie, there was a Marine who traveled across the states to go to New York City. He said he needed to go into the rubble. He needed to save somebody. And the central story was about the Port Authority police officers, that he was instrumental. He was one of the first ones to reach them and saved their lives. And that's Ubuntu, this caring about strangers as if they're family, and risking, this person risked his life to do this. There's something else that happened on that day, and you may all remember this. The American flags flying over the freeway. I remember I cried when I saw that. And American flags popping up on t-shirts and mugs and American flags on people's cars. And it was this moment where we all just kind of band together and you could see signs of it everywhere. And what did that mean? That just meant that we are one. We care about each other. And it took that intensity of that moment to bring us together. But how else outside of these intense moments can we grow our Ubuntu nature? I was reading about a South African healer named John Lockley who said that the key to growing our Ubuntu nature is to recognize first our shadow emotions. So when we feel in our daily lives, when we feel prejudice, when we feel judgment, when we feel contempt, when we feel the need to mercilessly, without mercy, criticize others, we have to be aware of those feelings and not act on them, not perpetuate that cycle of hatred. So it takes a certain amount of self-awareness. And we can do this when we see the other person as ourselves. One of the first words I remember coming to one of my first Unity services was how the word namaste was present in the service. And we are going to put that word back in the service shortly because it says this is the namaste consciousness of seeing the other as God, right? It's not just for yoga classes. And this is not too dissimilar from a complaint-free world. You know, how can we build connectedness when we're tearing each other down, even in little ways? So that's why we talk about the complaint-free world every year. And it's, you know, I have to say, it's hard for me to fall out of the state of it begins with small complaining, and it just becomes endemic in our society. So this is how we can make a small difference. And, you know, I was thinking, if we don't think we can make a difference, we're like a raindrop that thinks it has nothing to do with the flood that happened, right? It's this feeling like our vote doesn't count because we're just one vote. So how could our vote count? Well, absolutely it counts because it just takes many of us to make the difference. There is a study that I didn't hear of until this week. It's called the Civility in America Survey. And it found something interesting. It found that most people think that we do have a civility problem. Over 90% of the people surveyed said, we've got a civility problem in this country. But then over 90% of the people surveyed say they believe they have nothing to do with the problem. So that doesn't add up. It's that raindrop mentality, thinking that we are not responsible or accountable for the flood, okay? But there is hope because I also read in this survey that there's an increased desire of Americans to have more personal responsibility. So more Americans each year are doing the following, one of the following. They are either they're making an effort to be civil when treated uncivilly. Is that you? They're making an effort to be civil when treated uncivilly. Is that you? They are encouraging family, friends, and coworkers to be civil. Is that you? They're committing to one act of civility or to say something nice regularly. Is that you? And finally, they are speaking up against incivility. Is that you? Now, I have to admit, all these things aren't me. And I want to make it a goal to have these things be more in me. So we have to start with ourselves because where else can we start? That's where the power begins. So finally, on this topic of Ubuntu, there's something else we can do. We can affirm the importance of local community by seeing community as self-care. Brene Brown had a video that said isolation is the dream killer. So we need communities. And studies have shown that people who live the longest in the world, in addition to their diet, there was something else going on. All of them had communities. Many of them were spiritual communities. And they had a sense of purpose that often came from this community. So here we are today. So here we are today in this community. This is August 22nd. And I planned to talk about Ubuntu today for months because I knew at that time I thought we would be meeting in person. But you know something? I realized as the days were coming, it doesn't matter because we're here live together. It doesn't matter that we're not in person. Our community is as strong as ever here at Unity San Jose. And without you having made the choice to come to service today, you create this service today. Each and every service has a unique fabric, a unique energy. Without you, it would not be possible. If each one of you thought, I don't make a difference in this community, and nobody came, there would be no community, right? So you multiply that out and you realize we are creating and co-creating this community together. And you know, something interesting too, maybe some of the members of the board and some of you who have been here a lot longer than I have can talk about this, but the original name of the church, or at least before it became Unity Spiritual Center of San Jose, was Unity Community Church of San Jose, right? That's how important community is. It's still the official name on our bank account. So I remember a healer of mine in 2003 said to me, David, you need a community of like-minded beings. You need a community of like-minded souls. And ever since I started attending churches or spiritual centers, my life has been so much happier. Who would have thought that someone who left churches when they were 12 years old would go back and find that the church community made them deeply happy and deeply fulfilled? I'm so grateful for that. So I will close with something that Michael Beckwith said about community, which he called one of the 4 C's of happiness in his book, Spiritual Liberation. He said, when friends come together, they have the power to alter the course of their destinies. The benefits of interacting with individuals within a spiritual community are many. Spiritual community, or Sangha, as it is known in Sanskrit, is one of the Buddhist 3 jewels of existence. He goes on to say, we can look into the mirror of our community and learn many things about ourselves from what is reflected back to us. When we are discouraged, our community inspires and reminds us of our spiritual intention to wake up. Our clarity and confidence are recharged, and our happiness is retuned. When a community gathers to meditate, pray, study, serve, an alchemical process occurs that accelerates the very evolutionary process of all who are present. So this is Ubuntu. This is the shared community. This is the oneness of this philosophy, otherwise expressed as I am because we are. And so it is. Let's take a moment to take a deep breath and go within for a moment of meditation. Just breathing in as deeply as you can and letting it out slowly, and feeling your whole self relax. With each exhale, coming more and more to center, relaxing your shoulders more and more, coming into this presence of this sanctuary. And let's begin this process by trusting in our body more than we've ever trusted before. Because we know that back of all things and behind every part of us is a limitless source of healing. And so know now that divine intelligence is guiding every detail and every process of your physical body. Let's trust that perpetual healing and renewal always abounds. Bring your attention to your brain, where billions of signals and synapses are firing with accuracy every second. Messages are being sent to your body to support all of your body processes. And you're trusting in that divine intelligence as you move your attention to the organs of your body, knowing that your heart and your lungs working together, and your kidneys and your liver, your digestive system, all the organs of your body are working like players in a grand symphony. As we breathe into this trust, we're subtly aware and grateful that our organs and all the parts of our body are a community here to support us completely in our mission. We can feel that buzz of activity moving through our whole body, through our circulatory system, through our nervous system, through our skin, through our arms and our legs, up our spine as we sit up even straighter to receive this healing vibration that we have absolute trust in. Thinking of all the processes that we don't have to command, all the processes that are there happening for us automatically. We're so grateful. So we rest into this infinite healing presence that is abundance, that is life itself, that is us. Gently directing this healing presence towards any part of your body that needs healing at this moment. Now relaxing your shoulders and breathing from the heart space. Taking another deep breath in and letting it go. Feeling yourself relax into this trusting space even more. For this, I'm so grateful. And so it is.
Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around. I'm so grateful. 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 Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around. I'm so grateful. 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 Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around. I'm so grateful. 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 Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. So grateful.